welcome to a new episode of the Bubbles and Berries podcast. If you're new here, my name is Ode and I'm coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland, and this is a regular podcast episode. I'm quite proud of myself because I feel like I've been able to film about once a month for the past 3 podcasts, I think, which is kind of my goal, but sometimes it just goes out of the window because of how crazy work is sometimes, but I feel like we're on a good streak right now. Like I said, if you're new here, welcome, and if you are a returning viewer, then welcome back. It is so lovely to have you here. Like I said, I just have a regular podcast episode today. I have 3 finished objects, 2 works in progress, some acquisitions, and then a whole bunch of books that I've read and listened to over the past month, but I'll get into that when we get to the end of the video. Just a few admin bits that I would like to share before I get started and before I start talking about my project. The first one is regarding my shop. So I will take a break over Christmas and New Year's. I'm going to take those 2 weeks off, but that means that basically any order, I'm going to close the shop on Sunday the 8th of December basically, and that means that all orders that are placed before the 8th of December or on the 8th, I will make and ship before Christmas. I don't think it's going to arrive in time for Christmas now, especially maybe if you're in the UK, but if you're international, it is unlikely because it takes a while. And then at the moment, as you probably know, well, as I'm sure you know, all the couriers and postal services are kind of overloaded with all the Black Friday stuff. So yeah, I will ship it before I go on break, so before Christmas. Thank you, silly car, for making that much noise. I will ship it before Christmas if you place your order on or before the 8th of December. If you place your order after that, then I will make your order and ship it when I come back. I think it's probably going to be like around mid to late January is sort of what I'm announcing now. I don't know exactly when I'll reopen my shop in January. I'm taking 2 weeks off for sure. I'm quite tired, so I'm sort of reserving the right to take a 3rd week off if I feel the need to do that. Also because I know that January is really dark and usually I have kind of low energy. So yeah, but I'll post about all of this on Instagram if you want to follow me there. It's also Bubbles and Berries, and I'll do a newsletter as well when I have dates and information. So yeah, so that's the shop admin bit. So the 8th of December is sort of like your cutoff date. Another thing is I mentioned in my last podcast episode that I was going on a trip to Oxford right after filming that episode, and that I was intending to vlog that trip. I didn't vlog that trip. I was really tired and I kind of crashed, and I had a really lovely time, but yeah, I didn't film it, so sorry about that. I do have some nice acquisitions though that I will share with you. I'll share with you one today, and then I'll share another one. I'm planning to film a winter knitting plans very soon, and so I'll share the other one in there because it will be relevant in that other video. And then the third and last admin bit is that I won't be doing Vlogmas this year. I did it last year, and it made sense for me last year because I was traveling a bit around this time of year. What I did last year is I did 4 episodes, 1 per week in the lead up to Christmas, and 2 of these were me traveling to Copenhagen and Oslo, and then the other 2 were just like at home Christmassy bit. But I won't be doing this year because I am not traveling anywhere, and also I'm just quite busy until I break for Christmas. And so basically my days are me sitting down at my desk, making stitch markers, getting up to get a cup of tea, coming back, sitting down, stitching some more, getting up and getting a cup of tea, and again and again and again. So not interesting whatsoever. So yes, I won't be doing Vlogmas this year. But I will be watching some, so I'm really excited because I have a lot of admiration for the people who do it and the people who actually do it every day as well. But yeah, I will be watching some Vlogmases this year. I think my favorite ones are, and the one that I follow every day, are the one by Laura Penrose. I was going to say Penrose Knits, but I'm not sure she goes by Penrose Knits anymore. So Laura Penrose, Nitty Natty, and the third one is Helen of Giddy Knits is her podcast, and Giddy Yarns is her yarn dyeing business name. And yeah, those are the three that I really watch every day. And then if more pop up on my YouTube feed, sometimes I'll watch an episode here and there, but not necessarily very consistently. However, I would love to hear what Vlogmases you guys are watching, because then maybe I'll find out some more that I really like and want to watch every day. So yeah, please feel free to share your favorite Vlogmases down in the description below. Taking a deep breath. That is all the admin out of the way. I'm just gonna have a sip of my coffee. How cute is this mug, guys? Little puppy. I'm gonna have a sip of my coffee. I don't often drink coffee. I love the taste and I love the smell of it, but I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, sorry. But caffeine doesn't like me very much, so this is decaf, so that's good. Yeah, let's get into the knitting. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, and this is my stick season sweater that I knitted, I want to say last year around this time, maybe earlier, like October, September last year. This is designed by Rebecca of the Creabea. It has texture on the top third, and then it's stockinette knitting. It has a really nice, let me see if I can show you without it being too awkward. It has a really nice detail here. It's a drop shoulder. And yeah, I knit mine in Woolly Knit Diggle DK, so it is a DK weight yarn. I think you could go worsted as well. And I like it a lot. I wear it a lot. It's one of my favorite sweaters because I think I like the fit of it a lot. Like the ease is nice, the length is nice, so yeah, it is one that I reached for. I believe there is a stick season jacket in testing at the moment, so either in testing or I don't think it's been released yet, so I'm not really sure what the dates are, but I believe it's in testing. Anyway, just go and have a look at Rebecca's Instagram and podcast if you are interested. I will link everything down below, but yeah, it's a really nice design, a really fun construction, and I would definitely recommend it. And some people have done it without the texture at the top, and it's also quite nice because it's like, it's a really good drop shoulder basic pattern. So you don't have to do the texture, you don't have to do 2x2 rib, you can do 1x1, all of that. Yeah, it's a really good basic pattern. So yeah, definitely recommend. All right, moving on to finished objects. So I've got 3 this time. 2 were barely started the last time because they were projects that I planned to bring with me to Oxford and to knit on the train and everything. So I've made 2 and I finished those. And then the third one, I hadn't even started the last time at all, but I started it, knitted it, and finished it. And so I can show it to you. And I'm going to start with this one. And it is the Midland neck, or dicky, by Laura Penrose. This was a test knit. So the test knit, this is what it looks like. Maybe I should put it on because it doesn't look like much otherwise, but excuse the end bits there woven in, but I usually leave a little bit of a tail while I block it, and then once it's blocked I cut those off just in case, you know, if the yarn moves around a bit. And yeah, I just took it off the heater just now. I was blocking it yesterday, but yeah, so let me just put it on and then I'll talk to you about it, because otherwise I'm gonna just ramble and it's not gonna make sense and I'm gonna be so warm. All right, let's get the color all nice. And oh, that's really nice actually. I was a bit concerned that the color was gonna be too big, that had grown with washing, but it hasn't. And so yeah, so this is a neck, or I guess a dicky as people call it in North America. I feel like British people have a really hard time finding a name for those things. I think in Scandinavia they say a neck a lot, and then North America says dicky a lot, and the UK is sort of like one or the other maybe, or both. But yeah, so this is what it looks like. So that's the front, and then the back is pretty much the same. I don't know if I can show you. And yeah, so this, like I said, was a test knit for Laura of Laura Penrose or Penrose Knits. And this was created after she created her Midland cardigan, which I believe is still in testing. And yeah, she used the same idea and created a neck. And it's really, really nice. It has a sideways construction, so you start, I don't remember which side you start because I inverted it because I knit left-handed, so my thing go the other way around. But anyway, you start one side and then you knit this way and then you pick up stitches for the collar. I really, really enjoyed this test knit. It was so much fun and I really, really enjoyed the pattern. It's nothing like I've never knit anything like this before. I guess this construction is quite unusual, but it is really a lot of fun, and I love all the details in it because I find that a lot of the time those neck stickies kind of thing, they're just like a square or like a rectangle at the front and then the same rectangle at the back, the neck sort of in the middle, and that's that. And I have made a previous one before that was constructed, I have made another one before that was constructed like this, and it just doesn't fit quite right. Like the back seems too right up and it's not wide enough, and I just didn't like it. It just didn't work. And this one, just like all the details. So you start and there's a lot of short rows in it, which are very easy to knit. And Laura provides like a really cool method of doing the short rows, especially because it's in garter stitch. So, you know, like maybe you need to do things a bit differently, but it's super easy, really fun. And so you start on one end and finish at the other, but like each side has a like shoulder cap that you do with short rows. I don't know if you can see, but see, it's not like just straight, it like comes at an angle like this. So you have a little shoulder cap, and then you've got some really nice shaping at the front, and a really nice I-cord edge that you knit as you knit your project. It's not like a applied I-cord that you do at the end. And it has this really, I love this detail, like a sort of like, it's not really an I-cord, but it's kind of an I-cord that you have on the shoulders, which again you knit as you go, and which gives it like, first of all, it's really nice, and also it gives it a bit of structure because otherwise garter stitch just grows forever and ever, and so this sort of reins it in a bit. And yeah, and a nice like double folded collar, which I guess you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that was a test knit, and also I would want to do it anyway. And yeah, so it's really like a really good fit, a really well thought out item, you know, not just like a square and a neck in the middle, and a really, really fun construction and a really, really fun knit. Like I feel like, and there's a lot of small sections, so you go through it quite quickly. It's quite engaging. It's not difficult. It's garter stitch. It's really not difficult, but you can divide it into small sections, and so it's a bit more. It's like if you do like a stripy sweater or something, you want to get to the next stripe, and here you kind of want to get to the next section. It's like, oh, can I do the shoulder cap? Can I do the front? Can I do this shaping? Can I do this in the middle? You know, it's like, it's really engaging and really a lot of fun. I feel like my experience of knitting this, I was sitting on the couch and I was like, ooh, this is fun. And so I make that section and then I read the next section. It's like, oh, this is fun. And then I keep going. And yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm really warm. The yarn that I used for mine is Peer Gynt by Scentless Garn. So my grand plan for this is that I used a fair amount of this Peer Gynt last year. This is the shade Almond. And so I had some leftover, and I wanted to make, with my leftovers, I wanted to make the Celeste mittens, which go with the Celeste, which is inspired, or I guess it goes with the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit, the one with the color work. So I had some of those colors still in, and then my main color was this beige. So I was like, oh, good. With the leftover, I'm going to make the mittens, and then I'm going to make a headband. I don't remember which one, like one by Petite Knit as well. And then I thought I still had yarn left over, and I was like, I want to make a dicky of some sort, but I couldn't figure out what pattern I wanted to use. And then this came up, and Laura posted about it and the test knit and all that, and I applied and I got in, and I was like, this is perfect. The thing is, it used all my leftovers, so I didn't have any left for the mittens and the headband that I wanted to make and have it all as a set, so I ended up buying more. So yeah, that's I can show it to you here. I mean, it's not very interesting, but yeah, I bought more of the pure gint. To be fair, I only bought like a couple more balls, and it's quite inexpensive, so that was alright. But I thought it was kind of funny that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use my leftovers to make all of this, and I ran out, and I had to buy more. But yeah, this is, I think I've mentioned it, is the color Almond, and it is number 2511, and I really enjoy it. It's a really nice beige, and also I think I've got 3 different dye lots in this, in the Midland neck, and you can't tell. You can't tell the difference. So I don't know how much this color is dyed. I don't know if it would be as even in across dye lots in like brighter color, like a red or a green or whatever. I feel like this is really close to being undyed, and so maybe there's less of a chance that dye lots would be different. But in any way, in my case, like I've got 3 different dye lots in that, and you can't tell at all. It's exactly the same color. So yeah, I knit the size small. So the pattern comes with a child size, I don't remember how she calls it, like a youth or teenager size, and then adult, small, medium, and large. Obviously, because it's not a garment, you can kind of, like, the fit is not as important in a way, and the way you choose your size is by measuring your shoulder width. And yeah, so I did the adult small. My gauge, it's slightly off. I think there's a theme for this episode. We could call it the one where gauge swatches lie, because I've got 2 projects where my swatches were good, but the gauge wasn't right in the finished project, but it's all right. So my gauge is slightly off, and so it means that mine is like a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to be, but not by much, and also it fits me just fine, so I'm not bothered by it. I think maybe one small concern that I have is that because here you've got rib that opens up like this and garter stitch that opens up in the same direction, and it's the same at the back, I'm wondering if over time with wear it's gonna grow too much this way. I don't know, I'll see. It's not a big deal if that's the case. I'll just run an elastic or something. It's really not a big deal, but it's just something that I'm wondering about. I really like the neck because it's not tight around my neck, but it's also not super loose, so I feel like it's the good, like it's gonna keep me warm. I have 2 jackets for winter. I have one that has sort of like a V-neck, and I think it's still gonna keep me warm, and I also have one that zips up all the way, and I think even that, like, I will be able to zip my jacket up, and then like it will not be too much fabric that it won't fit in the color of my jacket. So yeah, I love it. I think it's really, really nice. I think a lot of the testers maybe used like a fingering weight and a mohair kind of thing, which I think looks also really nice. And yeah, it's a bit more knitting than it seems, but it's not a huge amount of knitting either. I think especially like the smaller sizes are quite quick and would make like really nice presents for people. Once again, especially because it's an accessory that you don't have to worry too much about fit, so it would be something easy to give to someone that you might not know exactly their size or their measurement and all that. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. I'm just looking at my notes over here. I went up half a needle size. I think Laura made hers in 4.5 millimeters. I went up to 5. I think in hindsight, because I think I must have just relaxed while I was knitting, I think I could have done with a 4.5, even though when I swatched with a 4.5 it wasn't right. But yeah, again, it's not, I guess in my case it's a bit of a big deal because of, it means that the information, like the yardage and everything that I provided after the test knit, like wasn't as accurate as it could have been, but in terms of fit it's not a big deal. So yeah, this is very comfortable. I do like Peer Gynt. I know a lot of people find it a bit itchy, but I really like this yarn. It's very warm, it's nice and rustic, and but yeah, not super itchy, or not for me anyway. So yeah, I just want to sit here and like pet it like this. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going on a trip soon, and I think I might bring that with me instead of a scarf, because it will be much easier, you know, to navigate like train stations and suitcases and stuff like that. I think that's easier. I'm also considering making one for a friend of mine who's always very cold. So I think she would appreciate something like that, and also who is gonna have a baby soon. And I feel like from a very like practical sense, like this, when you have a small child, or like when you're pushing a pram or like holding a child in your arms and things like that, like that is so much better than having a scarf, you know, that is sort of like in the way, coming off, flying off, whether they're tugging on or things like that. Like you just put this on, zip up your coat, and then your hands are completely free and you don't have anything to worry about when it comes to this area of yourself, and you're very warm. So yeah, I might make another one as a gift for her. I just need to think of a yarn, because I think she would be too sensitive to use Peer Gynt, so I would need to find something softer. Maybe, just thinking out loud here, maybe one of the Durarum Natura, maybe like the Gilead would be really nice, because I also don't know how she would tolerate mohair. So yeah, something to think about, but a really fun project. I don't know exactly when the pattern is coming out, but really soon. The test knit ended on the 26th of November. So yeah, just, you know, like a few days for Laura to do the last edits and all of that on her pattern, and then it will be released. The best thing to do is just to follow her on Instagram, because that's where she'll post all the information. So yes, this is the Midland neck by Laura Penrose, and I'm going to move on to my next project. I'm going to take it off because it is winter. But, well, technically autumn, but it is cold, but not that cold in my house, thankfully. All right, moving on to my second finished object, which I had started barely in the last episode, and this is a headband that is matching my sweater. It's not the same yarn, but it's a very similar color, and this is the Irene Headband by Rebecca, my lovely friend Rebecca of Journey Through Yarn. This was also a test knit, and one that I enjoyed very much, and yeah, now I have a new headband. So I'm just gonna go over the yarn quickly. The yarn that I used is one that a lovely viewer gifted me a little while ago, and it is by Esther Constance. I think it's in Germany. This is the label. And it is this lovely brown yarn. It is very rustic, it is undyed, and it is made of wool from, it says Jura Bergschaft Wolle, so it's a sheep from Switzerland, I believe, and it is a fingering weight. Did I go to focus? It is, it's kind of hilarious. I can see it, like, because it doesn't have my face to focus on, it's looking for other faces, I think, around me, and it's picking up the face of the toy on the Moosh and Friends book, which I think is hilarious. Let me see if it will focus. Yeah, 400 meters per 100 gram. And so I held it double because the pattern was written for a DK weight. And yeah, it was a super quick knit. I think the test knit was 2 weeks or something, and it was more than enough, you know, like I know a lot of test knits are very short, but in that case it was more than enough time. I made the larger size, which is for a head circumference of, I think it was for a head it was supposed to be like 55 centimeter circumference for a head circumference of 60. I think my head circumference is 58, but I was worried that the size below would be too tight. And I thought I would maybe rather have something that's slightly looser and rather than something that's a bit too tight, because I don't really like having like things constricting me around my head. Like it just gives me migraines really quickly. So yeah, once again, I swatched for this and it was fine. And then I started knitting and just like the gauge just went out the window. So anyway, I knit this on 3mm needles, which I think is at least 1 or 2 sizes down from what the pattern recommends. And it was just, yeah, it was just way too wide. So what I did is that you knit it in the round. It's not like, you know, some headbands you cast a small amount of stitches and you knit a band and then you sort of join it somehow at the end. So either like you do a twist or you do Kitchener stitch or whatever. This is one that you knit in the round. So you cast your stitches and then you knit that way. And so what you do is that you knit, it's double thickness. And so you knit a little bit of stockinette and then a little bit of reverse stockinette. Then you do this like lovely pattern and then a bit of reverse stockinette, a bit of stockinette again, and then you join, you do a Kitchener stitch that way. And yeah, because it was too big, it was like really too big, it was falling off my head, so I would not have been able to use it. What I did is that I cut it so I would have a band. I blocked the band, which was also quite a bit easier because it's 2 layers, just to really align things really well and also for it to dry nicely. And then once it was dry, I sewed it back and I did a twist like this, which I really like. I also find that when it's a bit narrower, so I usually wear the twist at the back of my neck. I know some people wear it at the front, I wear it at the back, and I find that it makes it hold better on my head. So yeah, and it's working great. It's not how the pattern is designed, but it works. So yeah, this pattern is available now. It has been released. I think there's also like a whole bunch of sizes. I don't remember exactly. I think there's like at least 3 or 4 adult sizes, and then like baby and child and all of this. So I will link everything down in the description box below. The pattern has been released and it is also a charity release. So if you buy the pattern, the money goes to charity, which is really nice. And once again, this is one of those really super quick, super easy knits that you could do as a gift if you're doing some gift knitting this year for the holidays. All right, moving on to my third and last finished object, and excuse the light, it's just, it's winter, and so there's not a lot of daylight, and most of the time it comes right into my office, and so it's either I film with light right into my face or I film at night. So yeah, that's what's happening. So excuse the changing light, but it's actually quite a nice day today, so you know, we're not going to complain that the sun is out. We just don't do that. Anyway, so my last finished object is this pair of super bright socks that I was talking about last time. So these are a gift for my friend and for, I think, her sister-in-law, but she asked me if I would make a pair of socks and I said yes. So yeah, they're a very basic DK vanilla socks. They haven't been blocked yet, but they're finished and they're so squishy. So I used a fingering weight held double because that's the yarn that we wanted to use in those colors. And as you can tell, these are not my colors. I would not wear something that bright, but these are the favorite color of the person that is going to go to, so you know. And they were so much fun to knit because I would never wear something like that, something so bright myself. It's not yarn that I would use unless it was for someone else, and it's been so much fun to knit, I have to say. So yeah, just your basic vanilla sock. So the yarn is Ginger Twist Studio, which is my local yarn shop, and they have their own brand of hand-dyed yarn. It is Ginger Twist Sheepish Sock, 365 meters per 100 gram, and it is 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon. The orange one is called Melon Balls on Fire. And then the pink one is Design of a Decade. So the reason why I'm using two colors is because these are a UK size 9. And I know that if I do for myself, I'm a UK size 6.5. If I knit for myself a pair of DK socks using fingering weight yarn held double, I have just enough. Like maybe I have 1 or 2 grams left at the end. So I knew that one skein was definitely not going to be enough for someone whose 2 sizes larger, or like whose feet are 2 sizes larger than mine. And so we could either get 2 skeins of the orange, or we could get a skein of another color and add a little pop of color, which is what we decided to do. So we've got the orange and the pink. I knit this on magic loop, which is not something that I usually do for socks, but I really enjoyed it actually, and I feel like maybe now I'm going to use magic loop a bit more often, especially on thick socks like these. I knit this on 3.25 millimeter because the yarn, like I said, is 365 meters per 100 gram as opposed to the normal, like not normal but like traditional 400 meters per 100 grams. So I thought because the yarn is slightly thicker, I'm going to go down in needle size. Usually I would have done a 3.5, but I did it on 3.25, and I used the Crazy Sock Lady Vanilla DK pattern stitch count. I think it's a free pattern, I don't remember, but I did 48 stitches, and a 2x2 rib, a heel flap and gusset, and a rounded toe. So yes, really fun. I need to block these, and then I'll be able to gift them, but I have now just these tiny bits of yarn left, which I think in total is 10 grams ish. So yeah, 5 grams, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna make with these, but, and this is taking me very nicely into my works in progress section, is that the first works in progress, which is not technically one yet because I haven't cast it on, but I'm going to do that today or tomorrow, is a second pair of socks using the leftover pink yarn. It's really like it's very, the colors are very much warm, or like are much warmer on the screen than they are in real life, just because of it's kind of golden hour outside. So, but it's still a very pretty color. I don't know if I can. I don't know. It's bright pink. It's neon pink. You know. I didn't use a ton on these because I just did the toe and the heel. And so I think I have about 90 grams left. I think I wrote it somewhere. I don't remember where. So the plan was that with the leftover pink yarn, I was going to make a pair of socks for my friend. So the orange ones are for my friend's sister-in-law, and the pink ones would be for my friend. And these would be fingering weight socks. And I am going on a short trip, just like a long weekend kind of thing, very soon. And so I'm going to bring these with me. I'm going to have them on the train. I have got quite a bit of train time to go. And then this is the only thing that I'm going to bring with me. So it's going to force me to work on them and hopefully get them done like really quickly, because I want to be able to give them to her soon. And yeah, I haven't decided on a pattern. I can always do a basic vanilla sock. But I wanted to do something maybe a little bit extra, but also I don't want something that is like, I want it to be mindless, so I can just like knit on it and knit on it quickly. So my idea is that I'm going to try and find one of those patterns, stock patterns that has a really nice cuff, maybe with like some nice cables or something, or a bit of lace, and then the rest of the foot is just stockinette. So I need to dig through all my books and my Ravelry library and see if I can find something like this, so that I can make a nice cuff over like, I don't know, 15 or 20 rounds, and then just do like stockinette. But yeah, so this is going to be cast on really soon, and it's probably going to be finished and gifted by the time I record my next podcast episode. But I'll be sure to take a photo so I can show you. And then I'm expecting, I think I have 90 grams left of that. My friend is a size 6, so kind of like me. So I know, like, I've looked at my socks, and I usually use like maybe 75 or 80-ish grams. Like, I know I'm going to have probably at least 10 grams left over. So I would have 10 grams left over of the pink, and then I have 10 grams of the orange. And I wonder if that would be enough to make tiny baby socks, because the friend in question is the one who's going to have a baby soon. So I wonder if, like, with 20 grams, I would have enough to make like tiny baby socks, and so they could all have like bright socks. I think that would be really fun. But you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, so I think in a way that is my, I dropped a sock, it's okay. In a way that is my first work in progress, even though technically it's not yet cast on, but it will be very, very, very soon. My next 2 works in progress are, you've seen them before, and yeah, they're not finished yet, so I need to get going on those, but I have made a little bit of progress. The first one you have seen last time, and it is my fairy ring socks. Let me see. Yeah, my fairy ring socks so it's a pattern by Katie Green. Sort of like an adaptation, because she designed the whole sock, but I just used the little mushroom chart, that's not the rest. And yeah, I think I don't remember, I think last episode I was maybe like just past the collar work, and then I took them with me on my trip as well. So I've got both, and as you can see, so they're not finished, but I am on the foot for both. I am, yeah, past the heel. And so the yarns that I used, which I'm going to try and remember because like I didn't write it in my notes, so I'm going to try and remember. The main color is Woolen Twine Ovis Socks. This is the shade Bone, and I also used it for the stem of, come on, focus. Nope, let's try again. Right, so the stem of the mushroom is also Woolen Twine Ovis, I think in the shade Oatmeal or Oat Milk. The top, like the little hats of the mushroom, this is Snowdonia Sock by Garthner in the shade, I think, Sundew. And then the green is Rama Fennel in one of the green shades. I don't remember exactly the names and the numbers, but it's all in my Ravelry project page. And yeah, so the one thing that I really wanted to talk about on these is the heel, because we were chatting. I mean, you chatted to me in the comments, which I'm really grateful for. I was chatting in the last episode about how my heel turns look very wonky and like in a very weird way, in that, so it's a triangle like this, and in that like half of it is rolling out like crazy and the other half isn't, and I couldn't figure out why, and I couldn't figure out how to change that or address that in any way. And yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much for all the advice that you gave me. I looked at a bunch of it, and I have a list of what to try next if what I'm trying right now doesn't work. But what I did on these socks is that I switched to DPNs. I was doing it on like magic loop before. Even though I'm knitting this on a small circular, I would put the stitches on hold for the front, and then I would use like a longer needle with a cable for the heel flap and the heel turn. I switched to DPN, and I think like even if using a cable needle, even though not really knitting in the round, it's kind of like using straight needles. I think just like the way DPNs are, you hold them slightly differently, and I think that has helped a lot. It's still a bit wonky, but it's more evenly wonky, and it's I know it's a tension issue, whereas before I didn't know what the problem was. Like, it was obviously tension, but I didn't know how to fix it. Where now, like, I know what's going on. And I think just practice is gonna make things improve. But I went to DPN and I downsized on my DPN. So I'm knitting this on 2.25 millimeters. I think I went to 2.5 for the color work, but it's mostly 2.25. And then I used DPN of like 2 millimeters. And I think not only that has helped the heel turn a lot, I think it's better on one than the other, like the second one that I did. I don't know. I don't know if I can show you. It's not as far from being perfect, but it is sort of like evenly rolling out in a way. I don't know if you can, I don't know if it will focus or not. If not, you have to just take my word for it. And also what I really like, which I wasn't looking for or expecting or anything, it made the heel turn, being on 2 millimeter DPN, made the heel flap so much neater. Like the columns of slip stitches, they're so much nicer than they've ever been before. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with this for now. I'm gonna keep using DPNs over the next few pairs of socks that I do, see how my heel turn improves, and then if it doesn't really, then I have a list of other things to try that you guys have suggested, and I will just make my way down that list until I find a way that works. And yeah, so yeah, thank you again so much for your advice. Things are improving. We're not quite there yet, but things are improving. And yeah, I have to say, I don't really mind using DPNs, but I also kind of mind a little bit because they're just like, I'm always afraid that they're gonna fall out, or yeah, it's not my, like, I wouldn't make a whole sock on DPNs, I don't think. But I think they're very useful for the heels in this instance. So yeah, once again, thank you for your advice on that. Really appreciated. And then my coffee is getting cold. It's okay. Oh, I do love the taste of coffee. And I'm gonna move on now to my third and last work in progress, which is my Miles shirt jacket, which I've been talking to you for at least 2 or 3 episodes now. This thing is the Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta. I am knitting mine in Mencholope, which is the recommended yarn, in the shade, which is blowing up horrendously, but I think, yeah, that's a good representation, I guess. It's the shade undyed, either like dark gray brown or dark brown gray. So yeah, it is held double, but it's caked, like it comes caked double stranded, so that's good. Just getting it out of the cake like that. I had mentioned before, it's quite a nice unspun to knit with. It's not the most fragile, it's also not the least fragile. That, like, it's more fragile than Platulopi, for example, but it's not as fragile as the Hillesvag one or the Uist one, or I want to say the Nutiden one, although I've never tried it, but from what I've heard from other people, it looks quite fragile. But yeah, I enjoy knitting with it. Like I said in my previous episode, like, it forces you to really relax when you knit. Otherwise, you're like, if you're really tense, you're gonna break the yarn. But that makes it a really enjoyable experience because you really have to relax and, you know, like, enjoy your stitches, taking a bit slower, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend. Don't be scared of unspun. It's also quite inexpensive, so maybe you can just get one plate and, you know, make a hat or try something if you want to try it out before, you know, committing to a whole garment. But yeah, so I'm knitting the size, I think it's M, it's a 3rd size of the Miles shirt jacket, and I don't know how far I can go. Yeah, it's looking like this, which I realize is not, can I get up and sort of try it on in a way? Let's see. think this is a bit ridiculous, but I'm gonna try. Also because I have it on needles that are way too short, but all right. I don't know if you saw much here, but anyway, I am basically, I think the last time that I was showing it, I had just finished, I was at the part of the body where I needed to start the sort of like the scooped edges, the rounded edges, and then after that I got into like other project, and I kind of lost steam for a little while on this project, but I recently picked it up again, and by recently I mean this past week, and so I have since done the rounded hem, which was really nice. It's made with short rows. It's really easy and really fun. And then I am onto the ribbing. It's quite a narrow or shallow rib, I guess, for the body. So I did the ribbing that I needed to do, and now I'm doing, my next step is to do the 2 set of rows that you do before a tubular bind off. I don't usually do those set of rows, I have to say, especially if it's already like 1 by 1 ribbing. I just go in with my like darning needle and I just do the tubular bind off. But I feel like in this case, because it's unspun and because I don't want it to flare or anything, I'm just doing those set of rows because it gives it a bit of structure, which I like. I tried it out on the pocket. So there's 2 pockets at the front of this, which the designer recommends that you start with because then you can use them as gauge swatches. And the top of the pocket has a little bit of ribbing and a bind off, and so I tried out with the set of rows and saw how it looked and if I liked it, and I really do. So I'm gonna do this all over. It just sort of like tightens the stitches a bit and gives it a bit more structure, which I really like. I think it's gonna be quite important for the button bends as well because they're ribbed, and I feel like otherwise it would first probably like stretch. Like unspun doesn't have like memory that much, so it will stretch out and it's not going to bounce back. So I think you need that that tiny bit of extra structure from the setup row, which is basically like a row of double knitting before you bind off. And yeah, I have bound off using this yarn on the pockets like I was just mentioning, and it works just fine. I'm going to do it here again. The only thing is that you don't use like a massive length of yarn because that's going to break. So you just do like, I would probably do like this much yarn, put that on a darning needle, bind off as many stitches as I can with this, and then when I'm running out of yarn, I'm just going to split splice more, add another small length, and you just go like this the whole way. So you're not like pulling out like lots and lots of yarn through every stitch because that's definitely going to break. So yeah, it's not difficult. It's just a different way of doing it. It's not, I don't think it makes it more time consuming. And I think if anything, it makes it a bit more enjoyable because you're not, especially, when you start a tubular bind off and you have so much yarn and you're just like, and every stitch you spend not 10 minutes, obviously I'm exaggerating, but you're just like pulling so much yarn out of that one stitch, and then it gets tangled and then all of this. So yeah, I think in a way it's quite nice. So I'm looking forward to doing this. I think I'm going to be knitting on this tonight, and then the pattern says to go into the sleeves, but I'm going to do the button band, and then I'm going to do the button band because I think they're going to go somewhat quickly, but it's also like a whole length of stitches to bind off, like on both sides. So I kind of want to get this out of the way first, and then I'm going to do the folded collar, and then that means that my whole body and my collar and everything is where it's supposed to be, and the shoulders are sitting where they're supposed to sit, and then from there I'll pick up and I'll do the sleeves. And yeah, hopefully it will be finished. It has to be finished the next time I film because I really want to finish it and I really want to be able to wear it. I feel like we're going into a bit, like the weather is getting a bit too cold for me to be able to wear it, but I want to have it for spring at least. And yeah, and it will be nice to finish on the sleeves because it means that it's just once you do that small tubular bind off of like a small wrist circumference, then you're done. So yeah, and then you block it, and then I think you sew the pockets after you're done blocking it. I feel like I might put my pockets a bit lower than the pattern recommends, but I'll have to try it on once it's blocked and see where I want them exactly. And yeah, my one tiny concern is that because I think maybe probably because it's unspun, it doesn't have that bounce and that sort of memory. I'm worried that the color is like gonna fall, like sort of gonna droop like this, you know? I've seen something like that on some of the pictures, and I wonder if it's just because people didn't have the buttons done or not. I'll see how I feel about it and how it behaves and all of this, but if it droops too much, or if I feel like I want a bit more structure in the color, I might cover the, like, you know, on the inside when you pick up stitches, you have like sort of a little edge or something, and I might put some, like a nice like bias tape or something, some cotton, because that to give it structure, like something that is not stretchy at all. I'm not concerned obviously about like putting it over my head because it's a cardigan, so I just need to be like the actual length of the color. So yeah, but something, we'll see how that goes. I feel like if need be I can also do that along the button bands just to give it again like that bit of structure and it doesn't stretch lengthwise. But yeah, we'll have to see. I've never made a full garment out of unspun. I have made like a couple of dickies and a hat, and I know those have stretched out and they're not really bouncing back. Like one of them I had to put elastic in the neck and things like that. So yeah, I'll have to see how this behaves with wear and see if there are places where I could sort of like reinforce it a bit. I'm just thinking now, I actually have some really nice bias tape that I could use if you want to give me a minute so I can grab it. I have this, I have this bias tape by Katie Green as well. It's her art, and it's very cute, and it is dark brown. It's a bit warmer than this, but it could be very nice if I put it on the inside of the button bands. And I think I have quite a bit of it, so yeah, that might be an option, something to think about, either if I want to reinforce it or if I want to add like a nice pretty detail. It's very cute. Katie Green is a very talented artist. I really like all of her work. So yes, that is my last work in progress, and I've been talking for a long time. All right, moving on to acquisitions. I have just a few. I have that peregrine that I showed you earlier, so I'm not gonna go and talk more about this. When I was in Oxford, like I said, I bought some yarn that I will show in another video because it will make sense there, but I also bought this big ball of Regia Tweed sock yarn. It is 70% wool, 25% polyamide, and then 5% viscose. Usually the little tweedy bits, the nebs, are what the viscose is. It's a very nice cream neutral color. It's a really big ball. It's 150 grams, 375 meters. And so it's not a fingering, but it's not a DK either. So I'll need to have a look at what pattern to use, but I could do at least 2 pairs of socks out of this. So yeah, I'm really excited. I don't think I've ever knit with Regia, but I remember my grandmother used to, because I think it's a German brand, and yeah, it is a German brand. And then my family is from, or my grandmother lived like really in France, but really close to the border to Germany, so she had access to a lot of that kind of wool. So yeah, I'm really excited about that, to knit with that. Then I also got, let me grab it, I also got shade cards, and I'm really excited about this because I've been wanting those for a long time, but they were out of stock. And those are the Jamiesons of Shetland shade cards. I already have the Jamieson and Smith shade cards, and I really wanted these because, especially if you use that wool for color work, it's really hard to pick colors off of what you see on your computer screen. So yeah, they had them in stock. I bought, there's two kinds, maybe there's a third kind of like their lace yarn, but it's not something that I use, so I didn't buy that. So I bought, so the first one is Jamieson and Smith Spindrift and Double Knitting, which I think it's, you've got all the colors in both weights. So you've got their, what is it called? The natural. And then you've got all the colors. I can't show you. There's not enough space. Yeah, so that's really cool. So I'm excited for that. And I also got the shade cards for their Shetland Heather and Shetland Marl, which are the thicker ones. Like they're Aran and chunky. And yeah, so less colors, but still very pretty colors. And yeah, so that's really nice. Really excited to have that, just to be able to pick the right shade, you know. I think it's always a good thing to have in your toolkit for knitting. And yeah, the last two acquisitions that I wanted to show you is two advent calendars that I got. So I'm just going to show you the packaging because I haven't looked into it really. It's not December 1st yet. So the first one is the Zakami yarn one. This one Kyle's my husband, gifted it to me. Every year he gives me an advent calendar and I make him an advent calendar. So yeah, he gifted this to me. So the theme for this year is belonging. It's that color palette, which is really right up my alley. And yeah, I'm not going to open it because first of all, the yarn is in like little pouches, and also I don't know that maybe there are people watching who haven't received it or anything, but anyway, inside like everything is wrapped, so there's nothing to see. I got the 24 mini plus a main skein for Christmas Day, and the base I chose for the minis is the llama. I think it's 100% llama. It's really, really soft. And then for the main skein, I chose one that is a blend of 50% Corriedale and 50% mohair, which I'm really excited about. I've never seen this base before. And I think they would make really, really nice socks. So my plan for it is I'm probably not gonna wait until Christmas Day to open up the main skein. I think as soon as I'm done with my mushroom socks, I'm gonna cast these on, and because I'm just so excited to try this base. And yeah, so this is the advent calendar that not that I bought, but that Kyle bought for me. And then my other one is a swap that I did with my friend Rebecca of Journey Through Yarn, which I've mentioned before. She has a really nice podcast, by the way, so you should go and check it out. And she suggested earlier in the year that we exchange advent calendar, so basically that we gave each other our scraps. And it's really fun. So it looks so nice. Like, she did such a good job with like the presentation, like a nice basket, and then little little pouches with like lovely tags. And yeah, there's a bigger pouch for the 24th, I think, and then there's, I don't know, some little presents. I don't know what they are, so I'm excited to open these. She had put them in the basket like really nicely, and I think like ordered them by date and everything, but then the cats got in it, so I don't know, like it doesn't smell, like it smells nice, but it doesn't smell like anything particular to me, but it must like the cats, my cats smell something on that, because they just want to sleep in the basket. I have to either put the basket out of reach or I have to close the room that it's in, because they just want to sleep in it. And the other day it was really funny because I guess I just didn't, it was on the shelf behind me, and then I didn't hear one of the cats come in, and like after a while I turn around and I see one of them so comfortably sleeping in this, and she'd taken a few of the little bags and sort of like threw them on the floor to make herself like a nice and cozy nest. And I had been completely unaware, and it was just happening behind me because I was sitting where I'm sitting right now working. So yeah, it was really funny. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm loving it and the cat's loving it, so everyone's happy. So again, thank you, Rebecca, for making this for me, and I'm really looking forward to open my Advent now. If you guys are getting any Advent, whether you're buying it from a company or a yarn dyer or doing a swap with a friend, like please let me know. Do you know what you're gonna make with it? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm gonna make with this one, and I don't know exactly. I have some idea for the Zakami one, but I'm not sure yet. So yeah, if you have any patterns that can be used for Advent that you really love, please share it below as well. So yeah, that is all the woolly bits that I have to share with you today. I'm very quickly gonna go over the books that I've read. It's been a really fun addition to my podcast, and you guys seem to really enjoy it as well. And I know I've chatted with a few of you in the comments about books, and you have recommended such good books, and I think a few of you are also enjoying like reading other people's comment and finding recommendations there. So yeah, it's been really lovely. The last time I was reading The Secrets of Blythswood Square by Sheridan, and I have finished that book since the last time, and it was really, really good. It was like a historical fiction. It's set in Glasgow, and yeah, it's about women friendship and women like having to be independent and make their own way in the world at a time where that's just not what women were allowed to do. And yeah, it is very, very enjoyable, and I would really recommend you giving it a go. And if you like Sarah Sheridan, the one from last year that I read is The Fair Botanist, and this one was set in Edinburgh, and it's sort of like the same vibe as well. As like the women are main characters in there, and yeah, I would really recommend this author. I think she's really good. I really enjoy her books. And then I moved on to my favorite genre, which I've repeated this a million times here, is cozy murder mysteries, which I really, really love. And so I read the second book in the let me get my piece of paper so I get things right, in the Scottish Shire mystery by Traci Hall. So I had read the first one last year, or no, not last year, like earlier this year or something, and I did enjoy it, and so I decided to read the second one, and all of them is like murder at a Scottish something. So I think the second one, I'm trying to remember the title now, I didn't write it down. I think it's called Murder at a Scottish Garden, I think, which is the one that I just finished reading, and then now I'm reading the third one, and it is quite nice. So the main character is this young woman who has, she's like late 20s maybe, and she has a young son, and she also lives with her grandpa, and it's set in this small village in the Scottish Highlands, and she owns a yarn store on the main street, and she knits and makes sweaters and things like that. And someone dies, and she ends up being the one who investigates. It's like very it very much sticks to the recipe of a cozy murder mystery, which I really like. It is a very easy read, I will say that. It's not like super complicated literature. It is very comforting, which is what I like about it. The first book I really enjoyed, but it took me a minute to get into it because it's one of those book series where it's written by an American author, but it is set in Scotland. It is written in accents, like the dialogues are written in accents, which I'm always very wary of. and especially when they're not written by someone who like uses that or who speaks with that accent, you know. And it's just like it's a very strange mix of like dialogues written with like what is intended to be a Scottish accent, but then also like the rest of the books is clearly written in American English, where like it would say like pants for trousers, for example, which like it's just a strange mix. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. Like when I see this in a book, I'm very wary. Like I will give it a chance and see how it goes, but I'm not like, I'm always like, I don't know. But yeah, in this case, I enjoy it quite a bit. I think it is fairly well researched, although the knitting sometimes, like the speed at which the main character is supposedly knitting a sweater, and also everything is cashmere in her shop, which seems a bit unrealistic, I think. And also it's like all Scottish cashmere, but the production of cashmere in Scotland is not that large. But anyway, it is still quite enjoyable, and I will continue to read it. Like I really like the character. I really like the setting. Like it's a nice, like it's very comforting, and you kind of want to spend time with those people in that village, and you kind of sort of like, I've gotten used to the way the dialogue is written, and I've gotten used to sort of like the like little bits that sort of maybe bothered me at first. So yeah, I would recommend giving it a go. I think there's like 5 or 6 books in the series now, and I will read them. I enjoyed them. I will read them. So yeah, I have also been listening to quite a lot of audiobooks. I had a bunch of credits on my Audible account that I think were about to expire or something like that. So I just really used them up. Also because work has been so busy that I find that I really had to sort of like head down and get going and like work and be as productive as I could. And I do find that I'm not as productive. I don't work as quickly if I'm watching something at the same time as opposed to if I'm listening to something. So I decided to just listen to things, and I listen to both podcasts, like audio podcast. I'm a really big fan of the History Hit podcast, which is a bunch of history podcasts, different kinds, and yeah, which I would really recommend if you're interested in history. And then I also listen to audiobooks, but that means that I go through them really quickly, because a lot of them, like especially the murder mystery kind of ones, like they're maybe like 8 to 10 hours, which, you know, like if I'm working, and even if I just listen to them like half a day, for example, it's like at least like 3 or 4 hours a day, and so I'm done in like 2 days. But yeah, so I had a bunch of credits that I needed to use, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a bunch of audiobooks. I listened to the 2 books in the Most Unusual Mystery series by Catherine Black. I think the first one is like A Most Unusual Demise, and I don't remember what the second one is. There's just 2 for the moment, but I'm sure there's going to be more. And it is really, really nice. I really would recommend you reading it. It is set in the UK. The 2 main characters are the 2 like elderly retired people. One is a woman who's a retired librarian. The other one is a man who is a like a retired academic, like a retired professor from Cambridge or something. But they're best friend, and they live together, and they have 2 little sausage dogs. And I really enjoyed it, because I really enjoyed both of these books, because the mystery is really good, the murder and the stories and everything is really good, but the characters are so nice. Like they have quite a bit of depth to them that you don't expect. It sort of like comes out of the blue, and you're like, what? And yeah, that was really fun. And then the sort of like supporting characters in both stories, so they're not always the same, but they're people who are like from different backgrounds, and also from like a wide range of ages, so it's very like multi-generational, which I think is really, really nice. So yeah, I would definitely recommend these. And then I also listened to the 3 currently available books in the Marlow Murder Club by Robert Thorogood. I'll link everything down below. And same thing, like the mysteries are really good. I think he's the guy who wrote created the Death in Paradise TV series, you know? I don't know if you know it. It's quite popular and there's like 1 million season at this point. 1 million series. But yeah, so he's quite like, he knows murder mysteries quite well, and he's also like a screenwriter. Like I think he's a good writer. And yeah, so I listened to all 3 that are available right now, and they're really nice as well, like really, really good. The main characters are like 3 women. One is like, I think like 2 of them are like somewhat middle-aged, one is older, and they each have like very different personality, but they really get along, and they have their own story, their own past, but they come together to solve those murders. And yeah, it's really good. It's, again, like, it follows the recipe of a cozy murder mystery, which is something that I really like, but in a really, really nice way. Like, it's your typical like cozy murder mystery in a quaint English village. So I would definitely recommend that you give it a go. For the 2 series that I just mentioned that I've listened to, the narration is really good. I think for the most unusual mysteries, I think the guy who narrates it is like a professional voice actor. And then for the Marlow Murder Club, I don't know if the person is a professional, but like they're doing it really well. Because I really, like, that's my one thing with audio books, is that if the narration is bad, or like if I don't enjoy it, I'm just not going to listen to it. I can't. It just like drives me nuts. But these are like really, really good narration. So yeah, definitely check it out, either as like a physical book or as an audiobook if you would like to. And yeah, this is all the books that I've read and listened to since my last podcast episode. I think I have a couple more Audible credits to use up, but I really need to get sorted with my local library, like the Edinburgh Library. I need to go because I registered and then I can't find my number anymore and all of this, so I need to actually go there and ask for help. But I need to get that sorted so I can get the Libby app and I can start borrowing audiobooks, because I can't just keep buying them because I go through so many. The budget would be, like, no, I don't want to get to a point where I have to choose between yarn and books. So I'm gonna buy yarn and I'm gonna borrow books from my local library. I just need to get it sorted. It's just in a part of town that I'm not usually in, so I need to make the trip for it, but it is a priority. And yeah, it has made my work very enjoyable. So I really enjoy, just listening to audiobooks while I make my stitch markers, or like your stitch markers that you order, and it's really fun. So yeah, I am rambling so much. It is such a long episode. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way if you're here. I've seen a few people do like, oh, if you're made it to the end of the video, comment this emoji or comment an emoji that represents something like that, which I think is actually quite fun. So I'm going to do the same. If you have made it to the end of the video, please comment an emoji that that relates to cozy murder mysteries, and I will let you choose what that emoji is to you. And yeah, I'm gonna leave you here for today. Like I said, I'm planning to do a winter knitting plans video quite soon, and so that will be coming up. No Vlogmas for me this year, but I will have another podcast episode. I'm thinking at some point between like just after Christmas, probably maybe on Boxing Day or something like that. Before the end of December I would like to, but not before Christmas, that's for sure. And yes, remember, if you want to get stitch markers, the cutoff date is the 8th of December. But there's no guarantee that you'll get it before Christmas, but you will still, like, it will ship before Christmas. Anything ordered after the 8th, like, no problem if you're a bit patient, like it's going to get to you, but probably not until the second half of January, because I need a little break. I need a vacation like everybody else. So yes, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.